Hello, my internet friends. Today, I ask you the age old question. This is one of those topical questions that gets debated about every now and again, and it's my turn to take a crack at it. What is a gamer? It should be kind of a simple question. It's a simple answer. People who play video games are gamers. But because we live in current internet society, this is one of the most debatable questions you could ask, because a lot of people, they don't want to count the mobile gamers. They don't want to count the boomers playing Candy Crush, or they don't want to count the Call of Duty Fortniters. If you only play one video game, you're not a gamer, buddy. If you're 7, you're not a gamer. If you only play DDR in an arcade, you're not a gamer. So whenever these questions, or these debates I should say, get like brought up, I try to avoid them at all costs, because to me it's just kind of a dumb question. And for me, I've always thought we should be trying to widen the net to try to make more people gamers. And it's the same thing with video games, where people will be like, oh, those story games or VR games, those aren't actual games. They should be like their own thing. And I'm like, no, I think like when you have like the Game Awards, for instance, we should try to have the most different things in that pile as possible. We should have fucking AR Pokemon games, and we should have uh, weird story games in there. We should have all the first person shooters that I don't play. It should be this very wide net for all these different people. It should be all these different niches hailing their torch to the sky to be like, my thing's the best. I don't think we should completely gate out as many like different things we don't like as possible. And you could argue like, oh, well, the phone games, the mobile games that only Subway Surfers and Candy Crush, those kind of games, we don't want to count those as games. And keep in mind, the phone that you have, your phone, is a much more powerful device than 99% of consoles and games that have lived up to it uh, are. This is one of the best things you could play anything on for the majority of all of time up to this point. And just because developers have turned, and publishers too, let's be honest, have turned that market into this cesspool of microtransactions and slop games, just because they ruined it doesn't mean that we can't turn that around. Just because that part of the market has become corrupted doesn't mean it's not viable. You could make the best fucking game ever and it could come out on a phone. If you just made Balatro a phone exclusive, I'm sure that wouldn't stop a lot of people from being like, this is one of the greatest fucking games ever. So I never want like a demographic. Just because you don't like your mom being a gamer doesn't mean that she's not. You know what I'm saying? For me, the nitty gritty is kind of like, how much time did you spend playing video games? Did you play them growing up? Like for me, if you're like a person who's like into a hobby, like I'm not a baseball player because I don't play like every fucking week or month or whatever. I don't consider that part of my hobby. But if you indulge in a hobby like even like an hour a week, I think that's a hobby of yours. You might not like the idea of your Uncle Vinny who only plays fucking Madden an hour a week a gamer, but I consider him a gamer. This is one of those things that's like a spectrum, you know? You have people over here who only play maybe like one video game a year. I still count them as gamers. And you have people over here who play like 6 hours a fucking day. They knock out video games left and right. I'm not no slant against these people. I fucking would if I could, if I had all the free time in the world. And you have people like here, me up here, maybe a couple hours a day, not every day. We try to get through as many games as we can, but we're working full time jobs and we make YouTube videos and we have all these other stupid ass hobbies. So that's where I lie. And I think this is where like the majority of people lie. Like I think most people get through like a video game a month. They try to make time for it, but they can't always. But I still like being on the discussion table. I like, still consider myself a hardcore gamer because there have been times in my life I've swayed down here and I've swayed down here. Like I said, I've been on all sides of the spectrum. But at no point when I was on either side did I not consider myself a gamer, not only because I've grown up my entire life playing video games, but I don't think it has to be this gated community where we look down upon the others, where we only play the best video games and thus we're the gamers. Really, all this boils down to is some people who are on this side of the spectrum consider themselves as kind of elitist and don't really want to be grouped in with these other people. They're like, those people should need a new word, but it's in all actuality, you guys need a new word. You guys are the niche community, if anything. There's a lot more of these than these. And you could just say, oh, like you're a hardcore gamer. But even when you branch a label on it like that, there's different levels of that. Like, what if you're a speedrunner? You play 8 hours of the same game. You're not really in the same group of people as people who bust out and beat a new video game like every week or whatever, right? And then there's the people who just play, I only play JRPGs and I 100% them and I've dedicated my life to this mission that I'm on. There's a lot of different ways you can be a hardcore gamer. But you know what? That's what I love about video games. I love that there are virtual worlds with 100 different avenues and 100 different ways to be a gamer. And that's why this label shouldn't be this one micro niche community thing. This should be this giant open net for any and all to take and label themselves. I'm a gamer, you're a gamer, my toddler's sleeping in the other room and he whacks my Switch from time to time. Maybe he's not a gamer yet, but he's gonna be. I stake my life on it. And I don't think I have much else for this conversation other than maybe when we get into heated arguments on Twitter about people about nonsense, maybe we should just use a couple brain cells and be like, hey, this is kind of a dumb conversation. More and more often, I think we need to agree with people and try to, include them in the things we like. Then maybe our things that we like will be boosted, and then there will be more of those things, and then that will only help us. At least when I put myself in the shoes of a casual gamer, if there's anything else that's going to turn me away more, it's like these really sweaty basement dwellers being like, actually, we're the elite gamers and they're gonna block us out. You can't sit with us because you didn't wear sweatpants on Tuesdays.
You can't sit with us!
Or maybe I'm completely off base and you have your own criticism or idea of what a gamer is. I'm gonna turn this question over to you in the comments. If there's anybody out there, please let me know down below what are your thoughts. And until next time, with that, I leave you.